Hey,
Actually, hold
what's
on.
up? This is Chosen. I'm going to be joined by my good friend and teammate, Darth, Micro, DM, Diablo Immortal, all that good stuff. And we're going to be having a chat about Druid because that is the class that DM is going to be picking for Diablo 4. So this is going to be a video talking about why you should think about starting Druid when Diablo 4 launches. Let's get into it. Hey, what's up, DM? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing today, Brad?
Oh, can't complain. And we're talking Diablo, so it's a good day. I'm excited. So it's been quite the journey for you on your class picking endeavors. So how did you come upon the decision to make sure you're going to be starting Druid on launch?
Well, I originally wanted to play Rogue, but then it seems like everyone and their mom's playing Rogue, to be honest. And then when I played Rogue, I liked it, didn't love it. However, during the first beta, I played a lot more than the second beta. I didn't actually play that much of the server slam. And I played 91 hours during the first one where we could go to 25, and I maxed every class a couple of times. And out of all of those, I legitimately like the companion druid the best. So I kind of just wanted to go with druid. Plus, I wanted to be a dirty hippie and like do what people weren't going to do, because it seems like I don't think a lot of the content creators, at least not the ones I'm talking to, are considering playing druid. It seems like most people are doing rogue, sorcerer, necromancer because they want to push through the content, which is I totally understand, as quickly as possible. So for me, it seemed like the decision was, well, I could try to play something a little bit more niche, have a little bit more fun with it. I also think hardcore druid could be a pretty good meme in and of itself. Who doesn't want to watch the worst class die a whole bunch? So it was just kind of it was a conglomerate. It just seemed like the right choice for me.
Well, now you definitely played all of them, or at least tried to, but play a decent amount of different classes. Do you genuinely think that you're picking the worst class starting Druid?
I don't think anymore. I thought maybe it seemed the worst. The level 25 beta, it probably seemed the worst from my experience. But again, we're it's early game. It's like, how can you say it's the worst when we're only level 25? I get all the arguments. So
Yeah, exactly. This is just, I'm going to bring somebody on the channel who is going to be maining that specific class. And obviously all of this is subject to change. It's the normal caveats. Like none of us have perfect information yet, and we're not able to kind of max out builds and do all the sort of testing that we would need to do. But Darth is going to be starting out as the Druid and walk us through like I've got the build planner pulled up here. Shout out to d4builds.gg. I will link to their site down below. This is an awesome tool to play around with. So do you want to walk me through what a good choice would be for someone that is going to be starting Druid and what the advantages and disadvantages would be?
a good choice for, are
Like
you
for a play
talking?
style, like you don't have to walk me
Oh,
through for 15 minutes, but just like the general like abilities here.
sure. Well, I mean, I'm playing hardcore, so I'm only going to talk about what I've experienced because that's what I know. So for me, I'm basically running the stuff that have the damage reduction. So I think it's Storm Spike off the top of my head or something like that. It gives you a damage reduction when you just use it as a basic attack, so you can continually get this flat damage
Yep.
reduction.
Yep.
So I take that one. Also, Cyclone Armor got nerfed, which is like a huge L for hardcore because it used to be 20% passive damage reduction on non-physical, but now it's only 10%. However, there's a legendary item that makes it where it's also physical damage and you can share with your team too. So being able to have a team-wide damage reduction seems to me to be acutely strong in hardcore PvE and probably PvP. In terms of grouping. So if I'm going to be playing hardcore with other people, it's almost like one of the only support type of items I've seen. I don't really see a
But
lot
the
of like buffing other
cooldowns
classes.
seem crazy. I don't know how reliable that's going to be until like you can really min-max the build.
It's a passive, so it's 100% uptime because
On Cyclone
the
Armor?
yeah,
Oh, you're
because
right. Yeah. Passive, 10% non-physical, and then the active is yeah. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, I don't know the cooldowns, really. I don't have the info in front of me, so I'm going off memory here. But it's absolutely passive. So you have that passive damage reduction. You just have to have it on your bar. So I take Earthen Bulwark because Earthen Bulwark with the first Q gives you Unstoppable, and Unstoppable seems to me to be completely busted in this game, and basically what I would think mandatory in hardcore, because not only does it stop CC, but it removes CC. It's a cleanse on top of it. So the fact that you can basically have a cleanse for CC removal is, in my opinion, extremely important. I think that's because there's like even in the early game we were able to see this. There's like these minions called like the Revenant, which are basically just like standard minions, standard elites, and they could charge and hit you with your sword and like CC down for like 2.5, 3 seconds. There's even I think it was the ice maulers or something that would hit you and then stun you for long periods of time. And with the big groups, it seems like they increased the pack density in the last patch, at least from what I can notice. With these big groups that will nuke you down if you get CC'd, like you kind of it seems to me mandatory to have a cleanse. So and I really like just the full pussy. I'm gonna do no damage, but I'm gonna be as tanky as I can when I'm playing hardcore. So I'm doing like the storm spike damage reduction. I'm doing the earthen bulwark for the CC removal and the shield. I'm doing the passive cyclone armor as well. So those are kind of starting points. And then as far as like the right click goes, essentially what is going to be like your core skill, I'm back and forth on that one. I was really liking also the fortify from Earthspike basic into like the landslide combo, but they nerfed landslide if I remember correctly on the last patch. So at this point, I'm a little bit kind of debating what I want my right click to be. It might be the dash from Shred, I believe is the name of it, because it now you have a dash on the first right click as opposed to just the second and third ones. So I'm actually thinking that might, for maneuverability's sake, and it's a fairly decent sized dash. So I'll probably end up going with something like that. And then ultimates got brought down as well. I like Petrify, but there's an argument to be made for almost any of them. I don't think the ultimates have been really decided out yet, but I think really the staples for me at least are going to be pretty much focusing on damage reduction, so I can try to stay as long as alive as long as possible. It seems like in hardcore, when you're in bosses, you can't really cheese the leave anymore like you used to be able to do, where you could just leave instantly by disconnecting or using the button. And so in hardcore, if you go into a boss fight, like you're going to have to win the fight because it's a battle of attrition. And I kind of think being tanky might help. There's an argument to be made that DPSing faster kills the boss faster, so you get the health potions quicker, and also he does less damage. But also, I think damage negation is going to be quite important too. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Okay, cool. And what about like the summoning version of the because people love summoning builds, the necro
Yeah,
and the druid and having the pets. So did you get to play around with that a lot?
I did. That was pretty much primarily what I focused on. The first level 25 beta, I got like almost every druid legendary, and the one I liked the most would have been the companion build, and it seems to have gotten even better with the most recent beta, where the companions now do significantly more damage. The werewolves are still pretty nuts. There is a little bit of a negative, which is that the wolves used to be extremely tanky to the point of like cheese. And you can still use the wolves because if you get the extra legendary that gives you a third wolf, then you can still have this cycle of them going in and like dying to the boss where the boss gets distracted by them, like the blood baron. So I choose the blood baron behind a pillar and stuff and just killing with the wolves, etc. So if you're hardcore and you're worried about like I just want to beat the boss and you're going in blind, like I'm going to be basically going in blind. I don't know the in-game bosses. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to try to hit level 100 blind basically. It's the hardcore, and I'm going to need every cheese tactic in my book in order to do that without dying. And so I think that the wolves do more damage now, but they're also more paper. So the cheesy tactics are a little bit less effective, but you do more damage overall with the actives, which is quite nice. And the active burst damage was significant with the werewolf on the first beta. So the second beta was even better. And the Vine Creeper AoE is even better now too. So you can play Companion and have a little bit better than AoE than you used to before. But I still think that Companions are good, but Storm looks quite good as well. In game, I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. But early game, Companions still felt fantastic to answer your question, if not better.
Great. Do you think that druid will be the tankiest, like hardcore friendly class?
I don't know if it'd be the most hardcore friendly class. Um, I don't think I'm versed well enough in the Diablo 4 hardcore from the other classes. I only played a few of them on hardcore. I will say that I think it's the one that has the potential to save the most mistakes, if that makes sense. It seems like there is an oh shit button with the earthen bulwark that it's like if just never hit the button, but if you fuck up, hit the button and you get a shield, CC removal, you're unstoppable, lots of fortify. You also have damage the ramps with how tanky you are with some of the builds. So you might be correct in that. I have a feeling that Diablo 4 is still going to be offense is the better of the defense versus offense debate. So It's probably still going to be, you know, whatever guy kills everything in one shot anyway is going to be better than hardcore. But as far as defensive properties, yeah, it's probably the druid.
Yeah, hardcore is gonna be crazy in Diablo 4. There's no cheat deaths or anything like that. Like in
Yeah.
Diablo 3, you get those passives. So yeah, Darth is venturing out on a crazy journey. Well, Druid is probably one of the classes that I know the least about, just full transparency. So I'm kind of leaning on you and relying on you. Is there anything I
Sure.
didn't ask you that you would want to make sure and get in there if you're trying to convince somebody or explain to somebody what they're going to be getting into if they main Druid?
Yeah, like it starts slow. I think this is a melee centric thing, but they start slow. So in the beginning, if you hate it, just give it like another 5 hours. You know, I mean, there's only a few classes in this game. There's not a lot of classes. There's 5 classes to choose from. So if you really were hyped about the druid because of thematics and all that, give it time to get to where you want it to be. And with the legendary drops being much lower than they were in the beta, like it's now launch drops, and it takes a while to get them. Like it's going to take you some time to make the druid not feel like dog shit. And so I think that that's like if I had to tell anyone, I mean, this probably is true advice for all classes, but just give it longer than you think you need to in order to get the druid to where you want it to be.
Okay, so don't get discouraged too quickly. If you really like the druid, you've got your heart set on it, it's going to be okay. Give it time and you'll kind of ramp up.
That would be my advice. Give it longer than you need. And also, one other advice that I think is probably even more important. Look, if you want to play the druid because you think the druid looks cool, but you're worried about being the strongest guy in the game, just play the druid anyway. I actually think the quickest way to make you not like Diablo 4 is trying to min-max everything, be the strongest on day one, rush the leaderboards and all that. It's going to be a good game. It's going to have good story. You should watch the cutscenes. You should play the game. You know what I mean? Like just play the game the way God intended. You know what I mean? Play the class you want to play, and maybe you're the one who's going to show everyone how well it works. Just give it a shot. I actually really hate when there's like 20 classes in a game, but 98% of the population only plays one. It's just a bummer. Like maybe the druid's not going to be the strongest out of all of the classes in the game, but you can still be the strongest druid. It's not like druids are going to be competing against, if you want to be the strongest of the druids, like who cares if the necromancer or the sorcerer is stronger than you factually, in terms of offense. Just be the best druid you can be. If that's what you want to play what you want to play and fuck other people's opinions.
Well, the thing is, we might get to the end game and druid might be completely broken. Like
Could be.
yeah, we don't know. That's the thing is we're trying to make content for you discussing topics like this. But the truth is we can't give you the concrete answer like druid's going to
Yeah.
be trash or druid's going to be amazing. So we've only played the first 20-25 levels. So yeah, did that cover all the basics? Or is there anything else I should ask you about or
Pretty low level, basic entry level of the talk. So if you're thinking about playing druid, a druid, it seems viable. It seems more viable now than it used to be, and the companion's got a big buff. So if you actually thought like having wolves and pets running around with you, almost like a hunter from WoW or something, sounds like fun. Like that is a viable strategy. If you want to be a big bear or a big wolf, like you can be a werewolf, you can be a werewolf. It's fun. It's just fun. So if you think druid looks fun, play druid. That's it.
Nice. Well, then I will be linking to Darth's channel down below where you can see his druid adventures and get some more expert level druid advice once the game is actually out and ready to dive into different topics. So, yeah, I'll put all of your relevant links down below, Darth, and thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, man, it's always a pleasure talking. I'm excited to be playing D4. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, have a good one, man.
Will do.